Hello and welcome. The topic today is on endangered species and what we can do to help them. The questions that we'll be looking at would be such questions as, what are endangered species? What's the cause of endangerment? And what can be done to protect these endangered species? With the answering of these questions, we can bring to light the things that can be done to protect them. Now, what exactly is an endangered species? Well, an endangered species are species of animals or plants that are at a very serious risk of extinction from the planet. It is when there are only a few numbers of a single species left anywhere in the world. There are several endangered species, and here are a few of them. One, the leatherback turtle, which is a sea turtle and also the largest turtle on Earth, according to the National Geographic's webpage about leatherback turtles. The South China tiger population is so low that the subspecies of tiger hasn't been documented in the wild since the early 1970s, according to the National Geographic's webpage about the South China tigers. The website also goes to say that the South China tigers were victims of eradication campaigns during China's Great Leap Forward era in the 1950s and 60s. The African wild dog is also on the extinction list. Known as the African wild dog, painted or Cape hunting dogs, these endangered canines closely resemble wolves in their pack-oriented social structures, according to the National Geographic's webpage on African wild dogs. Another endangered species is the black spider monkey. The black spider monkey, also known as the Guiana or red-faced spider monkey, is found in South America in areas north of the Amazon River. They are one of 7 species of spider monkeys found in Latin America and one of the largest primate species in South America, according to the World Wildlife Fund's webpage about the black spider monkeys. And finally, we look at the giant panda. Despite their exalted status and relative lack of natural predators, pandas are endangered, severe threats from humans that have fewer than 1,600 pandas in the wild, according to a 2004 survey. A census of the wild panda population is undertaken every 10 years. But it's not just endangered animals that have an impact, but also endangered plants too, such as the elfin tree fern, which is found only in small areas of Puerto Rico. Another plant species, called the rock gnome lichen, can be found in small parts of North Carolina and in the mountains of Asia, including Japan and the Himalayas. The hidden-petal Indian mallow is a perennial shrub only found on the Hawaiian island of Lanai. The San Diego ambrosia is a perennial herb that can be found in the grasslands and drainages in the small segment of San Diego County of California. And finally, we look at the sand dollar cactus, which has no spines and is divided into 8 segments, forming a low dome. They have yellow flowers with red throats and are summer blooming, and is native to the small parts of Texas in the United States and in Mexico. So, what's the cause of endangerment? Well, there are many factors to what causes species to be endangered. Things such as habitat destruction, which is the most common known cause. As humans grow, so do our need for wood, which is not only for housing but for furniture, so the trees are being cut down to meet human demands. Habitat is also being cleared for farming to keep up with the food demands as well. Introduction to exotic species is another cause. Bringing in animals that aren't native to the area can cause catastrophic changes to a species. These invasive species are vast, but to name a few, we have the Africanized honeybee, also known as the killer bee, which are descendants of southern African bees imported in 1956 by Brazilian scientists in an attempt to breed a honeybee better adapt to South American tropics. When some of these bees escaped quarantine in 1957, they began breeding with the local Brazilian honeybees, quickly multiplying and extending their range throughout South and Central America at a great rate, greater than 200 miles per year. Another invasive pet is the Burmese python, which is one of the largest snakes in the world. They are native to India, Lower China, the Malay Peninsula, and some of the islands of the East Indies. A population of Burmese pythons is established in South Florida, mainly within the Florida Everglades, and how they were introduced is not widely known. However, it is likely that the Burmese pythons escaped from a breeding facility that was destroyed during Hurricane Andrew. It's also contributed to the release of pets in the wild when the snake gets too big for an owner to handle. And of course, we have the wild boar, which is an invasive animal. They are an old world species and are not native to the Americas. The first wild pigs in the United States originated solely from the domestic stock brought to North America by early European explorers and settlers. Many years later, Eurasians brought wild boars that were introduced into small parts of the United States for hunting purposes. Another cause of endangerment is illegal hunting or poaching, which is when hunters ignore governmental rules that regulate the number of animals that should be hunted, and they reduce the population to the point that the species become endangered. For example, seals are often hunted for their coats, which are used in some waterproof materials. Tigers are being hunted for their bones, which are smuggled almost exclusively to China, used in tiger bone wine, a pricey traditional Chinese medicine tonic thought to impart the tiger's great strength and vigor. But almost every part of the tiger is valued in traditional Chinese medicine. Most of the skins end up in China too, used for high-end luxury decor. Elephants are also hunted. They're hunted for their ivory tusks, which are highly valuable in the black market. White and black rhinos of Africa are also being hunted for their horns. Yet even legal hunting, fishing, and gathering of wild species can lead to population reductions that force the species to become endangered if the state limit quota is not closely watched and breached. So what can be done to protect the endangered species? You can learn about the endangered species in your area, and you can teach your friends and family about the wildlife, birds, fish, and plants that live near you. You can visit national wildlife refuge, parks, and other open spaces that are usually protected lands for the endangered species. You can slow down when driving, as many animals live in developed areas, and this means they must navigate a landscape full of human hazards. Use recycled products such as paper, and buy sustainable products like bamboo and Forest Stewardship Council wood, products to protect the species of the forest. Never buy furniture made from wood from the rainforests. Recycle your cell phones because minerals used in cell phones and other electronics is mined in gorilla habitat. Minimize your use of palm oil because the forests where tigers live are being cut down to plant palm plantations, says the Endangered Species Coalition. One way you can help the endangered species is to donate to organizations such as the International Fund for Wild Animal Welfare, also known as the IFAW, which is currently one of the largest animal welfare and conservation charities in the world. The Sea Shepherd Conservation Society, which is an international non-profit marine conservation organization, is also another one. The Defenders of Wildlife, which are a natural conservation organization dedicated to the protection of all native animal and plant species in their natural communities throughout North America, and are focused solely on wildlife and habitat conservation and the safeguarding of biodiversity. This means not only protecting wildlife, but also the land and water sources they use in order to thrive. Panda, which is the world's leading cat conservation organization implementing successful conservation strategies to save and protect the world's largest and most endangered wild cats. Even though humans cause a large amount of damage to the earth and drive many species to extinction, we can make a stand and do something about it and save entire species, because once they're gone, they're gone. Each species that ends is another disruption in the ecosystem and the food chain as well. Give a hand, help the animals without a voice.